he would have no choice but to expel them, which goes out many, 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 many windows, not just one window.
You went through the barrier with all of your kids, but Ron and Harry. So you knew they didn't get on the train.
Welcome back, witches, wizards, and muggles, to Squib's Corner. I am Jeremiah.
And I'm Andrew.
And it's been a couple of weeks since we've actually done an episode, and you could fully blame this guy over here.
Myself, yes.
Yeah, albeit episodes are coming out weekly, so nobody even knows that we haven't recorded in a couple of weeks until now.
So thanks for snitching on me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem. hey, what are friends for, right?
That's true. That's true. Yes.
So we're just gonna jump right into this chapter. This is chapter 5. The Whomping Willow. Let's get into that 7-word summary. Take it away, Andrew. What do you got for us with a 7-word summary? I love these things, man.
For the Whomping Willow, Harry and Ron's stupidity again goes unpunished.
Yeah, they do have a running theme with doing what they're not supposed to, and a lot of the times getting rewarded for breaking the rules.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, yeah, I kind of went that direction too. There's a lot of things in this chapter that get broken, so I kind of went along that theme.
Okay.
Nice, Ron. Now your wand's broke too. So, yeah.
Poor Ron.
Yeah, we'll get into it.
Poor Ron.
I know, he already has a hand-me-down wand, and now even that's useless. Oh, man.
All right, well, let's do this. Let's recap a little bit, then we'll go into the first chapter. So last chapter, Flourish and Blots, they go to Diagon Alley. So Harry's been staying with the Weasleys after Fred, George, and Ron freed him from bondage.
That's great.
The Dursleys. They get to the burrow. The burrow's great. Harry loves the burrow. Then they've got to go into Diagon Alley. They've got to get school supplies. Some of that was uncomfortable for Harry because now the Weasleys, who aren't very wealthy, have 5 kids that need all of their school things. And here Harry has a small fortune hidden in Gringotts. But we meet Gilderoy Lockhart, find out that he's going to be in the defense against the dark arts teacher. We have a little bit of a skirmish with Mr. Weasley and Lucius Malfoy. We meet Lucius Malfoy.
And if you've only watched the movies, and you would know nothing about that. You're hearing it for the first time.
Yeah, there's no fight in the movies. That's right. They do.
No.
He is in Flourish and Blots in the movie.
Yeah.
There's just no fight.
Yeah, but there's no fight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So now they make it back to the burrow and let the chapter begin. The end of the summer vacation came too quickly for Harry's liking. He was looking forward to getting back to Hogwarts, but his month at the burrow had been the happiest of his life. It was difficult not to feel jealous of Ron when he thought of the Dursleys and the sort of welcome he could expect next time he turned up on Privet Drive.
I want to talk about that real quick. So it was difficult of Harry Potter not to feel jealous of Ronald Bilious Weasley. That's probably something Ron has never experienced. Somebody being jealous of him. Harry Potter, right? Of all people, he would have never imagined would be jealous of Ron. That's insane. It goes to show, like, when you're growing up and you think you have next to nothing, or you're like, oh man, this sucks. There's people out there that have it much worse than you and would gladly take your spot. And it's a humbling thing for Ron, I would expect, as you know, as we move forward. Yeah. I don't know if he ever fully takes that in though, and really thinks about it.
Well, and it's also human nature to focus on the things that aren't positive, right?
Oh, yeah, I have a hard time, with that.
Yeah, Albert Einstein did a great thing one time. He was a guest lecturer, and I could be butchering this story, but I believe Albert Einstein was a guest lecturer, and he starts writing math problems on the board. And simple math problems, he's writing them down. He's doing it. And then he purposefully wrote a math problem incorrectly. And the whole class, hey, you did that wrong. You did that wrong. He goes, do you see how easy it was for you to speak up when something was wrong? And yet when everything was right, you just sat there comfortably.
Yeah.
And so Ron, when you look at Ron's life, if you take out the financial strain of the Weasleys,
yeah,
he's got all the bacon sandwiches you can eat.
Right.
He's got a mom, he's got a dad, he's got siblings, he's got a home, he's got food, he's got friends.
Yeah.
He's got everything. But it's very easy to say, oh, well, because of the finances.
So, but I don't want to like get into it. Just a simple yes or no. Have you seen A Beautiful Mind? Because you brought up that math stuff.
Come on now.
It's one of the best movies ever made.
You're asking me if I've seen a movie?
Oh, it's the best movie. It's
who you're dealing with here.
I was a psychology major, so when I saw that movie, I was like, ooh.
Hey, there you go.
I love schizophrenia too. Oh, it's great.
And that's based on a true story.
Yeah.
So the Weasleys and Harry celebrated their last night of the summer, and it sounds like it was an indoor cookout. It was a party. There were fireworks. There was good food. Harry's treacle pudding.
It sounds great.
He loved the treacle pudding.
Yeah.
And even hot chocolate. So, they were having a good time. But the following morning was absolute mayhem, as now you've got 5 Weasleys and Harry. So 6 students now have to pack up for not just a day at school. They're not waking up and they're going to be back at 4 o'clock getting off the bus. They've got to pack up for the next several months. So there's running around, there's stepping on things, stepping over things, bumping into people, absolute chaos. You can imagine it. So they get everything packed up, and then we see the Fort Anglia, our second event with the Fort Anglia. Fred, George, and Ron obviously used it successfully.
Yes.
And now the Fort Anglia, by our crooked government employee, Arthur Weasley, has again misused this Muggle artifact by magically expanding it from a 5-seater, maybe a 6-seater. I'm not sure what the front of a Fort Anglia looks like. I don't know if it's a bench seat or if it's just 2 seats, but he magically expands it so that they can all fit in comfortably with their trunks and all of their school supplies.
Well, the thing that gets me here is he tells them, "Don't tell Molly." Like, I mean, you already did all this stuff to the car. What is telling Molly that you did a charm on this car to make the inside of it bigger?
She knows you've tampered with it. She knows you've tampered with it.
Well, she doesn't say anything. She just accepts the size of the interior of the car as Muggle engineering. So whether she's playing it off or if she truly thinks, oh, wow, these Muggles, wow, the inside looks so much bigger than the outside. Like, no, that's not a thing in the Muggle world. So I think maybe she got upset and she's like, you know what? This isn't the time.
Yeah.
We're not doing this right now.
Yeah, with everything that's happened this morning, I'm not going to let this add to this.
Oh, and it just gets worse. Yeah. So they head off a couple more times to the train station. They had to stop so that George could go back for his fireworks. Then they stopped so Fred could get his broomsticks. And then they had to go back so Jenny could get her diary. Oh, yes. Having a big family. Yeah. Having a big family and that all fits. That all fits.
This tells you how great of a person Mr. Weasley is. If we're going on a road trip and 3 minutes down the road somebody says, "Oh, I forgot this," I'm like, man, that's
That sucks.
That's too
Yeah.
bad.
I was going to say that too, but I thought it sounded a
Yeah.
little mean.
No, I'm like, well, that's crazy. I'm not adding 6 more minutes to this trip.
Exactly. Backtracking is a
Yeah,
no-go. We're
yeah,
not.
not an option.
No, I got a plan in my head, straight line. That's what
Yes.
we're doing. So after all this, of course, they're running late. Mr. Weasley wanted to fly to the train station, but Molly wouldn't allow it. He explains that he installed an invisibility button and that no one would see them. The perfect thing to say to your angry wife that doesn't even want to be in that car, probably.
Yeah, don't tell Molly that I enlarged the vehicle, but I'm going to tell her that I added an invisibility function. She,
Which would be worse? Probably the invisibility. No,
that means you can be sneaky with it.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, that's true. Yeah. So they arrive 15 minutes before the train was scheduled to leave. They all go through the barrier to the platform 9 3/4, with Harry and Ron going last. Everyone was able to get through it just fine, but the barrier didn't let Harry and Ron through, making them miss the train. Now, we had talked about this in the first book. Just run at it if you're scared. They ran at this wall just because Molly told them to.
And
And
boy,
then
did
this
they
is
get
what
some dirty
happened. So
looks.
I guess this is what happens when you're not scared. You run into a solid wall.
You just run into the solid wall. That's right.
So
That's right.
these two 12-year-olds start freaking out that they've missed the train. Of course, yeah. I would too.
Yeah. Yeah. And here's the funny thing. They count down. Like, oh, the train's going to leave 10, 9, 8, 7. Cool, cool, cool. They get it. The train's gone. And then they're just like, oh my gosh, we missed the train. I mean, it really feels like they waited just a couple of moments. And then their idea was, we couldn't make it through. What if mom and dad can't make it out? Let's fly the car to Hogwarts. Like Ron Burgundy sitting back. Well, that escalated quickly.
Yeah.
I mean,
So yeah, I wanted to ask you, if you, like say you and I, we try to get through the barrier, it sealed itself. What would be your thought as an 11-year-old? Or maybe, are they 12 at this point? 12. As a 12-year-old.
Yeah, because he turns 11 in the first book,
Yeah.
and we've passed July 31st in the second book,
Yeah, so they're 12.
so he's 12.
Would your
This is
thought
September 1st.
would your thought be, let's use the flying car, or would it be, oh man, we should just wait?
I feel confident enough that 12-year-old me would say, I don't think our best move right now is to steal your parents' car.
Yeah.
I'm just going out on a limb, hoping that 12-year-old me, as much as 12-year-old me would be like, how cool would it be if we stole the flying car?
Yeah.
Mm,
No, I'd be like, no, if we do
Not gonna
that,
do it.
I'm going to get
No.
grounded.
no.
We might as well just go to the car and wait. They'll come back eventually.
Yeah, I have full faith that all of the full-grown wizards that are in there
Well, notice we're not there.
are going to be able to. Because here's what they don't talk about. They do come out to the parking lot later, and the car's gone.
Yeah.
So my question is, you went through the barrier with all of your kids, but Ron and Harry. So you knew they didn't get on the train.
Mhm.
So where were you, number one? Why
Obviously,
didn't,
they can get back through. So,
I mean, yeah, but why didn't one of those adults should have come back through immediately
mhm.
and said why? It's never brought up that they tried anything like that. So
Well, it's probably insinuated that they thought, oh, they must be on the train already. Yeah, because there's a lot of kids.
you would assume,
it could have
yeah, you would
overlooked
assume
them.
so. They're in a rush. They're in a rush. And I get it. But
I mean, it's not like them to just neglect their kids like that. So you would assume that's what happened.
sure,
Yeah.
I'm gonna give Mrs. Weasley the benefit of the doubt.
And if anybody's asking, well, how did they even get home at that point? Well, they just
They don't need to.
separated.
Well, Ron
Yeah.
says that.
Yeah.
Ron tells Harry that they don't need the car. They're adult wizards.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So they get in the car. They make it invisible. They take off in the car, just so that they can get to school on time.
Yeah. Like this brings up a whole new thing.
Okay.
The barrier's closed. Oh no. We're not going to go to school.
Let's just spitball here. This is not pre-planned what we're about to do here. Let's spitball here. What other ways could you get to Hogwarts? I mean, we know that the professors aren't on the train, so you know that there's other ways to get there. You know that you are going into a town called Hogsmeade. And you go from Hogsmeade to the school. So entry to Hogwarts is not solely dependent on getting on the
true.
Hogwarts Express.
Yeah.
Okay.
You'd have to be a fully grown, well, yeah, you'd have to be of age in order to get in other ways, and they're not of age.
Well, here's the thing. We know Ron knows about the night bus.
Yeah.
Because when he tells the Weasleys that he rides on the night bus, they're like, oh man, we've always wanted to do that. So Ron knows about the night bus. McGonagall brings this one up later. Harry has an owl.
Well, yeah.
Send a letter. Or how about this? Wait 15 more minutes.
Exactly.
Because here's the thing. They know. They rode the train last year to and from Hogwarts. And we see this later. They leave at 1 o'clock on September 1st. Is it 11 o'clock or 1 o'clock?
11.
11 o'clock?
Yeah. Pretty sure.
I thought it was 1 o'clock, but that's okay.
One of the two.
It's dark when they get to Hogsmeade. Which is weird because I looked up. From London to Edinburgh, the train is 4.5 to 5 hours. So we can assume that Hogwarts is past Edinburgh. Anyway.
Yeah.
So they have hours before they actually have to be at the school. All they had to do was just wait around a little bit. Anyway, I digress. They're 12.
Well, the other, you're 12. You can't get to school. Oh, I guess we're not going to school.
Yeah, I guess.
What 12-year-old is going to... I could see Harry doing it. But what other 12-year-old is going to be like, oh no, we got to get there.
Yes.
It's school. No, they're going to be like, yes.
Yeah.
It closed. No.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I get it.
We get it. We get it.
Yeah.
Hogwarts
We're not picking holes or we're not doing nothing. It's just,
we love it.
That's why we're here. That's why we're here to make it
boil it down to their 12-year-old, naive, impulsive.
I mean, I could see Harry being like, "Oh no, I have to get back to Hogwarts. I'm not.
Yeah, I'm
not staying here."
Dursleys.
Yeah, I get that. Yeah.
So they take off. They get in the air. They actually accelerate. They get pretty high pretty fast. And as they get up in the air a ways, the invisibility aspect of the Fort Anglia starts to malfunction. So because they don't want to be seen, they fly up into the clouds. The only problem with flying in the clouds is now they can't see the train. So they have to dip down every now and then to see which direction the train is going.
So I have another issue here. Ron says, well, we'll just dip down and check on the train every 30 minutes. That is an extremely long period of time to wait to check on the train.
Yes.
The odds of you getting lost are about 100% if you're going to do that.
A lot. Yeah. It's not a good plan. It's not a good plan.
Every 30 minutes. No, that's.
Yeah.
No,
you need every 30 seconds. You need to make sure that train hasn't taken some sort of turn.
Every 30 minutes.
And at first, it was euphoria for two 12-year-old boys
in
a flying car.
It would be amazing.
They fly through the clouds. The sun is shining. Ron or Harry, I can't remember which one. I was like, oh, well, now I think it was Ron. Now the only thing that we've got to watch out for is airplanes. And they crack up laughing, right? They're dying laughing for minutes.
Yeah. Just imagine being in that situation.
Yeah.
Oh, it's amazing. Yes.
But then time goes on. Hours goes on. There's no trolley here. There's no friends to catch up with. It starts to get hot in the Fort Anglia. They're sweating. Harry's glasses are slipping down. His shirt's sticking to the back of the seat. And now they're just two 12-year-olds with no internet and no Game Boys on a several hour long car ride.
Oh, the Game Boys. Love the Game
And they're
Boys.
still in the air. They're still in the air as the sun begins to set. And as they're getting closer, their car begins to make some strange noises. Starts humming, starts straining, starts whining a little bit, and they're getting nervous. And Ron, he goes, "Oh well, the car's never flown this far before, so, but don't
Yeah.
worry, it'll get there." And as they see Hogwarts in the distance, the car begins to fail. Pretty hardcore.
You would think that maybe it's running out of gas, but then what precedes it, you start to think, oh, maybe it doesn't need gas.
Brooms don't run on gas.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
just run on magic.
But they go into full regret mode. They're still a mile in the air when they fly over the lake. Ron presses down on the pedal, and the engine dies. Yeah, I don't even think I'd be in regret mode at this point. I think I'd be in full on panic. I'm in a car a mile off the ground, and it's not working. It's dead. Free fall. No. The car starts plummeting towards the castle wall. Ron steers the car away from the castle and eventually gives up on steering and pulls his wand out and starts just banging on parts of the car, yelling, "Stop! Stop! Stop!" Harry yells, "Watch out for that tree!" George
George
yells,
of the jungle. Yeah.
and he lunges towards the steering wheel, but it was too late. The car slammed into the tree, then dropped down to the ground. Car steaming, Hedwig screeching. Harry had a golf ball sized lump on his head, and Ron's wand was broke. Good job. Good job, Ron.
Good job, Ron.
Are you supposed to do transfiguration now, huh? But that was just the start. Before they knew it, something hit the side of the car like a raging bull. Then another huge blow to the roof. It turns out the tree they hit, it was heading back. And I have a
Yeah.
tree out in my front yard that looks pretty similar to the Whomping Willow, and I call
Yeah.
it my Whomping Willow. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Love it.
And the way she describes it in the book, the branches were hitting every inch of the car that it could reach. And I feel like in the movie, granted it's been a long time, it's just kind of one solid blow after another.
Yeah,
You
it
know,
goes through the
big
windshield.
slam and then big slam, and then in the book, it's like no, there are multiple branches hitting at the same time over and over again.
You're okay.
Scary.
Okay, you're in that car. You just stole your dad's. I'm gonna call it pride and joy.
Mm-hmm.
It's now totaled. What's going through your head?
Well, at that time, at that point, I don't think you're worried about your dad. You're being attacked by a tree that hit the side of your car like a raging bull. In the book, it says that when it hit, Harry flew into Ron. That's how hard it hit.
Yeah.
So that car is being attacked with intent to murder.
That's true.
I don't think you're worried about, Hermione might say, "Oh, you could have died." Or worse, your dad could have found out.
Yeah.
Yes. So they're getting plummeted. And it seemed like they were going to get pummeled to death. They tried to get out of the car, but the branches kept hitting it and they couldn't escape. Well, then, magic, car sprung to life. Thank goodness. And it drove away from the danger of the tree. But once they get far enough from the danger, car stops, ejects everything in there. Ejects Ron, Harry, Hedwig's cage, their trunks, everything. Shoots it out. Car's gone. Car leaves. Off into the darkness.
So when the car drove off, I kind of started thinking, like, when did this car come to life? Like, I know it's been magicked and stuff, but Did do you think he knew? Do you think Mr. Weasley knew that the car could come to life, or is this something that like was you think surprising? Like, whoa, what happened?
Mr. Weasley is never described as being a powerful wizard, right?
Yeah,
And you see, even I added an invisibility function to it. That didn't work. Later, he adds the dragon fire to Hagrid's motorbike, and even that doesn't
fails.
work
Yeah,
completely.
yeah,
So,
yeah.
so the answer, no, I don't think. I don't think.
Yeah, we went to look up this and uh, we found some little interesting information actually that kind of strays away from it, but I like this information.
Well, I heard one fan theory a long time ago, which there's no substance behind it, is that when the car crashed and Ron's wand broke,
Mm.
that's what made the car. Because this is transfiguration. We
No,
see
yeah, yeah, makes sense. Makes
McGonagall
sense.
did it with the chess pieces. Dumbledore does it with, you know, the
Yeah,
statues in the ministry. So it's when Ron's wand broke that magic,
yeah, that sounds plausible.
became
Yeah,
imbued within the car, and it was able to now take on that quality.
yeah. Let's tell them what we found though when we looked this up.
Okay, so in an interview with Renton Genie, or is it Jenny Renton? Probably Jenny Renton.
Probably.
Wild About Harry, Candace Magazine, November 2001. Okay, so Jenny asks, are your stories inspired by reality? And then J.K. Rowling, sometimes I don't realize where I got my ideas from. A friend asked me if I remembered when we first saw Hogwarts. I had no idea what she was talking about until she said, the day we went to Kew Gardens, either Kew or Kew Gardens, Kew, and saw those lilies called Hogwarts. I'd seen them 7 years before, and they bubbled around in my memory. When Hogwarts occurred to me as a name for the school, I had no idea where it had come from. The
See, I
flying
found that interesting because maybe that's where she got seven from.
7 years.
Yeah. Yeah. When
Ooh.
I was like, oh, whoa.
It's everywhere.
It is.
The Flying Ford Anglia was based on a real car driven by Sean Harris, the first of my friends to learn to drive. We were at school together. At the time, I lived in the middle of nowhere and had to rely on my parents for transport. Sometimes Sean would come for me in his car. The sight of that car meant freedom to me. My heart still leaps whenever I see a Ford Anglia. That's why, when I thought of Ron's flying car, I immediately pictured a Ford Anglia. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. I love that.
That's pretty
The
cool.
little tidbits you find here and there.
The
It's
little nuggets. The little
and this is
nuggets.
from 24 years ago. So
I love it.
the internet.
The internet. So now Ron and Harry are standing there, and they've got to drag their trunks up, and Hedwig's caged because it popped open, and Hedwig flies straight to the castle without even looking back. She is upset
Man, I
at
didn't even
everything.
think about that. Harry always has a hard time moving his trunk around. So oh
Now they got to
wow.
drag it. Now they got to
I'm
drag it.
just picturing that now.
So they make their way up to the castle. Ron states that he says the feast has probably already started, but they're able to look into the window of the Great Hall and watch the sorting. Doesn't the feast come after the sorting in the first year?
I think it's first.
The feast? I don't know because they
No,
get
no, no,
sorted.
no. Okay,
Yeah, the
yeah, yeah,
sorting
yeah.
is first.
The feast, yeah, it's
The
sorting first.
the
Yeah.
sorting is first, and then the feast. So the feast hasn't started because they're getting sorted. They look up at the staff table. They see Gilderoy Lockhart. They see other professors. They see Dumbledore. They see Hagrid. And then Harry notices an empty chair. He says, oh my goodness, Snape is missing. And then he and Ron go through a list of why he might be absent. Oh, maybe he's ill. Maybe he left because he didn't get the defense against the dark arts position. Maybe he was sacked since everyone hates him.
Then the worst thing that could happen to them, a voice behind them says
Oh
that
no.
maybe he's waiting to see why you haven't arrived on the train.
Oh, talk about just so much regret.
It's the worst when you're talking crap about like you learn to pay attention to who's around and before you speak. But oh man, maybe this, maybe that. Oh crap, he's right behind us. I hope he didn't hear that. He heard it. Oh god.
Yeah.
They both turn around to see Snape standing there, smiling in a way that told Harry and Ron they were in deep trouble. They followed him into the dungeons, entering Snape's office shivering. The shadowy walls were lined with shelves of large glass jars in which floated all manner of revolting things. Harry didn't really want to know the name of it at the moment. The fireplace was dark and empty. Then he taunts them. So, I gotta get it down. I gotta get it better. So, nope. So, I can't get. He's got like a certain dialect, and I can't get it.
Which brings up the question: how do we think Papa Alcido is going to do the voice? Do you think he's going to mimic an Alan?
I don't even know what he sounds like.
Yeah, I have no clue what he sounds like.
So, the train isn't good enough for the famous Harry Potter and his faithful sidekick Weasley. Wanted to arrive with a bang, did we, boys? You try it. I can't get it. I can't get it.
So, the train isn't good enough for the famous Harry Potter and his faithful sidekick Weasley. Wanted to arrive with a bang, did we, boys?
Yeah, gotta get that long drawl out. That's yeah. It's hard. It's hard.
Obviously.
Well, then, of course, they try to explain themselves. He cuts them off without hearing them out. It really is so easy to hate Snape. It really is. Yes. But Snape's the character that you hate, but you love him at the same time.
Speak for yourself. I love him now, but even now, knowing what I know about Snape, he was still a jerk to the students.
Think about Dolores Umbridge.
That's true.
The movie version of Dolores Umbridge. She plays it so good.
Oh, absolutely.
That you have to love how good she plays it, but you can't. You can't because she plays it so. You're like, oh no, this.
You know, they still say that Snape had to be mean to Gryffindor students, especially those affiliated with Harry Potter, because he still had to maintain the front.
But the way he does it, like you could still.
It's convincing.
Like him. Yeah,
it's convincing.
But you could still like him. The way Dolores plays, you cannot like her. Like, such a good job. Such a good job. I can't wait till we get there. Then Snape shows them a copy of the Evening Prophet. It turns out that Ron and Harry were seen by Muggles. And I think I like the movie version of this better because I think in the book he says 2 Muggles specifically, and then he goes 6 or 7 Muggles seen you. But the movie he says you were seen by no less than 7 Muggles. And his delivery of it is great, and it really punctuates 7.
Well, in the book, he's reading from the paper. He's like, 2 people saw you here, 2 people saw you there, 2 people saw you there. All in all, 6 to 7 Muggles. But like no less than 7 Muggles.
Yeah, it's still great. But he points out that Arthur Weasley works for the Misuse of Muggle Artifacts office, and it hits Harry that Mr. Weasley could get in trouble for what they did. But Snape, he says something. He's like, doesn't your dad work for the Misuse of Muggle Artifacts office? His own son.
Look, Snape, as much as we hate him, he can spot a crooked government official.
Yeah.
Just like I can.
Oh, yeah. No. Well, really, there's no doubt that, Snape has that view of Mr. Weasley. I believe that view to be true of the way, I see it. It makes sense, yeah. Then Snape says that he found considerable damage to the Whomping Willow and regrets that he can't expel them because he's not their head of house.
which
which
is
is a good thing to
really
point out.
fortunate. Which is
Well,
really
yeah, it's a
fortunate.
good thing to point out. Like, you're in charge of your own house, Slytherin, Hufflepuff,
Yeah.
Ravenclaw, Gryffindor. You can't expel, or really, well, he does take points away, but deciding like the ultimate fate is up to the head of house.
The ultimate fate, like
Yeah,
because Snape gives them detentions in
yeah,
later books, so it's not as if he can't dole out any
mhm,
punishments, like you said, deduction of house points,
yeah,
detentions. But I think, yeah, I think when it comes to major punishments like that, it would boil down to head of house and Dumbledore.
yeah, yeah.
So now that we know Snape can't expel them, he leaves to go get Professor McGonagall. And now Harry and Ron have to wait in Snape's office for 10 minutes. They're sitting there just thinking, we're going to get expelled. We just stole a magical card, got seen by muggles, broke the treaty for underage wizardry, and this is the end. So Professor McGonagall comes in, and while she isn't like Snape, she is equally as intimidating
Oh yes.
as a witch that you do not want to mess around with.
Well, I would imagine, like, had I never seen the movies, I imagine just somebody y- growing up. You have your favorite grandparent, right? And they're nice. They're so nice. But when
Hmm.
they get mad, they just give you that look, and you're like, "Oh,
Yeah, yeah,
that's McGonagall." Ooh. Ugh.
yeah. I could see that. So
Yes.
McGonagall comes in, raises her wand, starts the fire. Big fan of that.
Yeah, I know, because I know you had mentioned, like, isn't there something we could do to heat up this dungeon?
Yeah, starts the fire.
Immediately, just poof.
And tells them to explain, which Ron is obviously all too happy to explain. And I love that Professor McGonagall just looks at them and says, "Why didn't you just send us an owl? You did have an owl with you,
That's it.
correct?"
And then they say, "Well, I didn't think." Yeah, you
Yeah,
didn't.
yeah, you didn't think. And obviously they feel so dumb at this point. But then Dumbledore comes in and Harry, says his whole body went numb. Dumbledore looked a little more grave than usual. And I want to read this how she writes it because I love the way she wrote this. Harry suddenly found himself wishing he and Ron were still being beaten up by the Whomping Willow. There was a long silence. Then Dumbledore said, "Please explain why you did this." It would have been better if he had shouted. Harry hated the disappointment in his voice. For some reason, he was unable to look Dumbledore in the eyes, and spoke instead to his niece. He told Dumbledore everything except that Mr. Weasley owned the bewitched car, making it sound as though he and Ron had happened to find a flying car parked outside the station. He knew Dumbledore would see through this at once, but Dumbledore asked no questions about the car. When Harry had finished, he merely continued to peer at them through his spectacles. So obviously, Ron thinks that they're going to get expelled. He says, "Okay, we'll go get our stuff." But it turns out that Harry has way too much plot armor in the fifth chapter of the second book to be expelled from
Well,
Hogwarts.
McGonagall even goes, What are you talking
Yeah,
about,
yeah. What are you
Mr.
talking about?
Weasley?"
We're getting expelled? Not this time. Yeah, not this time.
So again, Harry and Ron escape punishment. They escape detention. They escape expulsion.
Well, they didn't escape detention, so they do get detention.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Right,
yeah.
they do get
But
detention, but the last time they had
it's like a
detention, they got
slap
to
on the
hang out
hand.
with Hagrid in the Forbidden
Yeah,
Forest at 11.
yeah,
I'm pulling an all-nighter.
yeah. In the middle of the night. Yeah. So this is also funny too. Dumbledore impressed upon them how very serious their actions were, and it's like he's telling them a joke, right?
Yeah.
He then tells him that he is going to have to write letters to the family, and if they did anything like this again, he would have no choice but to expel them, which goes out many, 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 many windows. Not just one window, but just all of them.
Harry is like, "Yes, sir. Yeah, right, the Dursleys."
Yeah, well, talk about zero follow through with Dumbledore. Absolutely no follow through. Like, what an empty threat. So I'm going to throw this out there and see if they believe it.
Yeah. Well, I assume that he wrote the
Well, yeah, he
Weasleys
probably
because
did
that
that, but
howler comes quick.
the threat of expulsion is a big fat
Ye-
empty promise.
You sure about that? You sure about that?
uh, Snape was none too pleased. He pleaded the case for them to be expelled, but Dumbledore deferred to Professor McGonagall to determine their punishment. And I like that Snape was like, they have flouted, I like that word, they have flouted the decree of
Yeah.
underage wizardry. And I know in the movie, Dumbledore says, yeah, I'm very aware of the bylaws, having written a few of them myself.
Yeah, Dumbledore with the flexes all over the place.
It's great. So Dumbledore leaves and takes Snape with him. Snape was very,
And I
very
love how
mad.
Dumbledore, they're leaving, and Dumbledore's like, there's this dessert that I really want to try. There's this
Yeah.
tart that I really want to try.
Very
Come on,
nonchalant,
Severus.
yeah.
Calls him Severus. Bro.
That's great. He's the most unserious, serious person ever.
Yes. But it's a good life lesson.
Oh, yeah.
Like
yeah.
Dumbledore, okay, we have handled the serious thing. Now let's go back.
Yeah, let's
Let's carry on. Let's
Yeah.
move along. Let's move on.
That is a very good lesson. It's
No
very,
need to
very,
dwell.
very easy to dwell on anything
Yes.
at all. Yeah. So we find out that Jenny was sorted into Gryffindor because Ron had asked her that he wanted to go, see her get sorted, which I actually felt bad for Ron. I felt bad for Jenny. Like, man, that's his little sister. That's his only sister. And he didn't get to see her get sorted. And I mean, I guess as we move on, it's not mentioned. Jenny wasn't mad or upset or anything like that,
Yeah.
but it still sucks.
Yeah.
It does. Man. Then one of my favorite Professor McGonagall scenes. And speaking of Gryffindor, Professor McGonagall said sharply, but Harry cut in. Professor, when we took the card, the term hadn't started, so Gryffindor shouldn't have any points taken from it, should it? He finished, watching her anxiously. Professor McGonagall gave him a piercing look, but he was sure she had almost smiled. Her mouth looked less thin, anyways. I will not take... That sounded like Dumbledore. I will not take any points... I can't do it anymore. I will not take any points from Gryffindor, she said, and Harry's heart lightened considerably. But you will both get detention.
Okay, give me a detention.
Let's go hang out with Hagrid.
I broke an international decree of underage wizardry, but detention, sure, give it to me.
Okay. They're in so much trouble that she just magics them up. So an endless buffet of food. I mean, I'm assuming they're sandwiches, right?
Sandwiches, yeah, they say sandwiches.
Yeah, sandwiches. They're great. I mean, you
Probably
can't
bacon
you can't
sandwiches.
go wrong with sandwich. Like, oh, you're two boys, sandwiches. Can't go wrong.
No.
Yeah. So yeah, then they go up to the dormitory afterward, and she goes back to the feast. But
Yep, she goes back
what
to
a
the
punishment!
feast.
Oh, detention. Well, here's as much food as you can
Here,
eat while you're
have some
here.
sandwiches. No, it wasn't the feast.
No,
It
but
wasn't the feast, but they get the sandwiches.
how
And
often do you eat one sandwich? If you're making yourself a sandwich and you have time, like you're not at work or something, you're at home, or
I
maybe
gotta
your
be
wife
honest
goes,
with you.
maybe your
We
wife goes,
don't-
"Do you want a
yeah.
sandwich for dinner?" Like, no, I want 2 or 3 of them.
Yeah. I got to be honest, we don't eat a lot of bread in my house. So sandwiches aren't really a thing. So
No,
when
yeah,
if
yeah, I
I
get
do have a sandwich, it's because we've gone to a restaurant or something and I've ordered something. But even then, do I want another sandwich? Absolutely.
Oh yeah, I made tuna salad sandwiches a couple weeks ago, and I was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna have one." Then I ate that one. I'm like, "I'm gonna have another one." Then I ate that
Yes.
that one. I'm like, "I shouldn't be eating so much tuna, but I'm gonna have another one."
I love tuna.
Yeah.
So yeah, so McGonagall goes back to the feast. They are allowed to eat as many of the sandwiches. It keeps refilling. Every time it gets low, it keeps
Yeah.
refilling.
That'd be great.
So
That'd be great. Talk about a
I
buffet.
know. Yes. But the
Oh,
question
we went to the.
remained.
Do you like Chinese food?
Come on, son.
Have you? Okay, I would assume you've ate at a Chinese buffet.
Obviously.
Which do you prefer, like a Chinese restaurant or a Chinese buffet?
Buffet, obviously.
Yeah. Oh man, we just went to one couple like last weekend, I think, and everything was so good. Wontons, orange chicken, fried rice, everything. They even had potatoes. I was like, oh, that's a random. I'm gonna give me some potatoes.
Get some potatoes. And they always have like the weird pizza.
They
they've
they had
got, like I
pizza.
said, they've
I
got
didn't
some
get the
chicken
pizza.
tenders. You don't get that.
No, I
There's
love the fried rice, but when I can have it at a buffet, I'm like, oh yes, it's
there's a
gonna fill
Chinese
me up,
buffet.
but yeah,
Yeah. There's a Chinese buffet near my parents' house. It's a little more expensive. The food is really good, but it has a hibachi wall. So you can go over and you can pick the
that's
stuff out
awesome.
and they'll do
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
Now I'm
Oh,
hungry.
yes,
So,
yes.
so endless platter of sandwiches. So they're left to themselves. But the question remained, why couldn't they get through the barrier? Once they had eaten their fill of the sandwiches, they make their way up to Gryffindor Tower, and they get up to the portrait of the fat lady, but they haven't met a Gryffindor prefect yet. So they have no clue what the password is. Magical timing, you could say. Hermione comes up the stairs right behind them. Portrait gives the password. Fat lady swings open, and Harry and Ron were met with thunderous applause.
Well,
Naturally.
it's good to note here that Hermione walked up to them and said, "I've been hearing all these insane rumors about a flying car, and you've been expelled, and
We
yeah,
haven't been expelled.
yeah, no,
So you did do a flying car? And then the boom, the flying cars. Everybody had heard about it. Everybody was excited about it, except for Percy and of course Hermione. So they make their way. They go up to their dormitory, which now had a sign that said second years. Big time, moving on up. Dean, Seamus, and Neville come in. They laugh around a little bit, and then they went to bed.
yeah, yeah. That's great. It's great. So, before we get into our final thoughts,
Ooh.
we actually have a new segment we're thinking of introducing. We're gonna
Yeah.
give it a try. And this is maybe you can let us know if we should put this at the beginning or leave it at the end. We're playing around with it, seeing what works better. So, 7 things to think about from this chapter. We're going to try to do this every chapter to make you, I don't know, think a little bit differently while you listen to these chapters.
Yeah.
So, the first thing is Jenny has a diary that was important enough to make her whole family go back for it and even be more late for the Hogwarts Express.
Diary plays a big part.
Yes, it does.
So it's
Yes.
good. You got to remember that diary.
And it's one thing you can pass over. You just, oh, a little kid, their diary. Okay, I get it. Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So it's very fitting that they used a diary for this.
Sure. Yeah. An 11-year-old girl having a diary is nothing unheard of. Uh-oh. Do we have?
Oh, we
Wow.
have it. Oh,
Wow.
we have it.
There she is.
Yeah.
There she
It's
is.
going to just stay here.
It's just going to stay there.
Yeah.
All right. Number 2, Harry and Ron can't make it through the barrier. Could have been easily attributed to Dobby if only Harry couldn't have been able to enter the barrier. So because Ron was kept from going through the barrier, now it's like, oh, there's something wrong with the barrier. Why? What's wrong with it? Why isn't it letting it through? But if it were only Harry, everyone else could get through except for Harry. I think Harry would have been like, dang, Dobby was withholding my mail, tried to do everything, tried to get me in trouble with the Dursleys, got the ministry up my butt because a hover charm was done here. Could have easily been pointed back to Dobby, but because it was Ron and Harry, the mystery of the barrier goes on.
Yeah, well, I could also see Harry thinking like that well, everybody else had already gone in. I was going to say maybe
Hmm.
he could have thought he was at the wrong barrier, but yeah,
No.
maybe. Yeah, that does make sense, and it ties in later. So
Sure.
number 3, Ron only got the idea to take the car in broad daylight because Mr. Weasley had just described to Mrs. Weasley that he added an invisibility function.
Yeah, so I think if Mr. Weasley never has that conversation with Mrs. Weasley and Ron didn't know that the car could be invisible, I don't think they steal the car in broad daylight.
Yeah, probably not.
And then they
Probably
wait,
not.
and then they wait, and they come out. Like, what are you two doing out here? Oh, we couldn't get through the barrier. Oh, well, hey, you just grab my arm. This is going to feel weird, but we're going to go to Hogsmeade.
Yeah,
We'll be there in a second. Yeah.
that tracks.
Number 4, in typical Weasley Burrow fashion, Mr. Weasley's magic was faulty on the car. And I think that just kind of plays in line with Mr. Weasley's character.
Yeah, the intentions are good. The intentions are good. He means well, especially with his magic, but it's a real like Mrs. Weasley is extremely powerful, and Mr. Weasley is. It's like he's not being serious, right? He's just kind of being playful.
Mm-hmm.
Like, hey, let's try this out and see what happens. Like, oh,
Yeah.
I think I got it. I think this will
Yeah.
work. Yeah.
Well, you would imagine that all charms on Muggle artifacts are experimental, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Pretty
Because
much.
there's
Yeah.
no, obviously, it's discouraged to
Mhm.
do. But we also know that, at least from what we know, Sirius's motorbike never had anything faulty on it except for the Dragonfire button,
Yeah. Yeah.
which Mr. Weasley had.
Yeah.
Right. So we know that it can be done successfully, but when Mr. Weasley did it.
So, number 5, knowing Snape's relationship with Dumbledore, it was probably on Dumbledore's orders that Snape went to investigate about Harry's whereabouts. So, it wasn't
I feel like
Snape
that
that just
tracks.
went out. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like that tracks. Go figure
Yeah.
out.
It's an important thing there, knowing
Harry's not
Snape's
here. Yeah.
relationship with Dumbledore. So,
Yeah. It
yeah.
tracks. There's little clues. Little
Yeah.
clues. Number 6. Do you know the theory about why secrets spread so fast in Hogwarts?
No.
The portraits.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
The
Yeah. Well, that makes 100%
Yeah,
sense.
the
Yeah.
portraits are everywhere. And so they see it and it spreads like wildfire.
Yes, it does. Yes.
Fiend fire.
And number 7, we know that the house tables have their food replenished because the house elves are right underneath with identical tables. The fact that Professor McGonagall's sandwich plate renewed when she was out of the room is some pretty advanced magic.
Especially when we learn later in book 7 when Hermione, they're obviously on the run. The Golden Trio are on the run. They're like, we're starving. Can't you just magic some food? And Hermione's like, don't you remember, what is it, Galpalot's log? Galpalot's
Gamp's Law, I
log.
think.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
It's like, you're just not making it out of thin air. It's gotta. So the fact that she did that
Yeah. Yeah.
and then walks away and it keeps going, it's like, low key, that's some pretty advanced magic that she could do
Yes, it
that.
is. Yes. Well,
Yeah.
McGonagall, she's a
I
BA
mean,
in her own right.
McGonagall,
So.
whom we love.
So, what are our final thoughts after this chapter?
Final thoughts after the chapter. About the chapter, I feel like this one is a childish chapter. You
It
know, you
is,
got
but it's also
yeah.
like one that it's iconic. It's an iconic chapter. It
um,
really is. It really
yeah,
it's
it's
one
iconic.
that
They
people
steal,
reference a lot. Yeah.
yeah, two 12-year-olds steal the car. Um,
But if
she,
you put yourself in their situation, flying the car, oh man, that sounds
yeah,
amazing.
hello, yeah,
Yeah,
hello.
that I would like to
Um,
do it. I'd
I
be
love their
scared the whole time, but
absolutely, absolutely.
yeah.
So she builds off things that happen in this chapter. Obviously, she introduces the diary, which comes into play. Ron's broken wand comes into play. The Fort Anglia running away comes into play. I mean, there's some great things that she calls back.
Yes, yes. I was just gonna say that.
And so it's a good chapter. It's an a very entertaining chapter. And
Do we think if this chapter was removed, would it have taken away anything?
from well, so
Chapter and
yes.
scene, both, both.
Well, I mean, because here's the thing, the car saves them
Yeah.
later.
Yes. Yeah.
So
Yeah. So it calls
so
back. Yeah.
yeah, so
Then you would have
now
had to take that away. Yeah.
yeah, then you would have had to change that, and okay, how else does Ron break his wand?
Yeah.
Because it shows,
Yeah. Like I
different
said,
things.
there's so much to call back later.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
She
yeah.
uses she uses it so well. Yeah.
Yeah. Other than the silliness of them stealing the car, if there could have been a, maybe a more pressing reason for them to take the car, maybe if they were in danger for something
Yeah.
and like they had to get up and out quick, then it would have been like,
Could have been made better. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, okay, Harry's scar starts hurting.
Yeah.
They can't get through the barrier. Now they're freaking out, and scary. Harry's scar starts burning, and he's like, "Bro, something's
Yeah.
happening. We
Yeah.
got to get out of here. Oh, jump in the car. Let's go." Then it could be like, but the fact that you missed the train, and now
Yeah.
you're gonna take the car, but love the chapter.
Well, there's quite a bit more magic introduced in this chapter too.
Yeah,
Like it's so
and we're
subtle that you don't
reintroduced.
really notice.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, we're reintroduced. One of the things that I dislike that JK does, which I know why she does it, at the beginning of most of the books, she kind of reintroduces the wizarding world. So this
yeah,
was,
yeah,
this was her, oh, and they looked in and saw the great hall, and oh, the candles were floating, and the ceiling, which was bewitched to look like this, it's all this stuff like, yeah, we know. And this
yeah,
was her way of reintroducing, Dumbledore, Snape, and McGonagall
yeah. No,
for book two. So yeah,
I think as we go on, that gets less and less. So which is
it
good.
does.
Yeah.
It does. It does.
All right. So thank you for listening to us. This podcast is everywhere you get your podcasts, and don't forget we're also on YouTube if you prefer YouTube.
If you
I don't
want to
have a problem with it.
watch these beautiful Harry Potter fans break down a chapter at a time.
Well, I mean, I do have quite a good background, if I do say so
You
myself.
do, yeah.
Toot toot. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And Andrew, go ahead and sign us out. I know you got that quote waiting. I could see it in your eyes, that empty look in your eyes.
It is our choices, Harry, that show what we truly are, far more than our abilities.
I mistook that empty look, I guess, huh?
Maybe it's because my computer's on night mode, so it wasn't a bright white screen.
Dead giveaway the last couple times.
Squibs Corner is hosted by Jeremiah Lobaugh and co-hosted by Andrew Beecham, myself. We would love to hear from you, so drop us a rate and review. To inquire about being a guest, or if you have questions, comments, or just want to give us your Harry Potter story, email us at squibscorner@gmail.com. To watch Harry Potter merch unboxings, follow Jeremiah's YouTube, Accio Potter Guy. Lastly, you can leave us a voice memo and follow us on Instagram at Squibs Corner Podcast.